Okay, let's have a quick rundown of sort of the history of my life. It's sort of interesting and I think different in many ways. I hope you enjoy it. I was born in 1944 during World War II. When I was a year old, my mother and I spent a few months with my father on the island of Guam. He was in the Navy and taking care of some Japanese prisoners of war. I turned out to be a rather unusual young man in some ways. I'm not quite sure why, but I started thinking about adult type issues rather young. For example, when I was 12 years old, I looked at my parents. I saw they worked so hard, but they have no free time and no free money. And I thought to myself, if they didn't have 3 kids, they'd have a lot of free time and free money. So, at the age of 12, I decided I won't have any kids. Of course, the adults say, oh, you'll change your mind, but so far I haven't. I actually like the kids very much for about 2 hours, and then bye-bye, and go back to your parents. I also, from the age of 12, tried to start figuring out my career. And I had a lot of freedom, relative amount of freedom in school, because I was very lucky that my mother didn't require me to do my homework. And generally I didn't, and it was so boring. And so I had more time to play and think and explore different things, which I was always into this or that. And I was also trying to figure out my career from about age 12. And I had many, many different ideas. I was going to be a farmer, I was going to be a preacher, a medical technologist, a mathematician, even a philosopher. And finally, though, I sort of gave up. I went to college for 3 years, but it was really boring, and finally I quit. I joined the Marine Corps Reserve to avoid the draft. At that time, there was a military draft, fighting in Vietnam. And I was sort of lost in my life. I didn't know what direction I was going to go. I knew the importance of career and having something you love. I just hadn't found it yet. But I did know one thing. I wanted to live in New York City. So at the age of 22, I borrowed $200 from my parents, and I took the 2-day bus to New York City. Didn't know a single person there. Perhaps I was very lucky, because in just 3 weeks, IBM hired me, and they trained me as a computer programmer. And so I felt very fortunate. In just a few months, I loved it so much, I knew I'd found my career. But after working for IBM for 2 years, I wanted to sense some more freedom, like to do other things in my life, explore other things. And, 8 or 9 hours a day doesn't give you much chance for that. So I decided to quit IBM and work for myself. I became a freelance computer programmer at that point, and I was lucky to be successful at it right away. So the first big problem of my life was solved, but I had another big problem: how to get a girlfriend. Even though you might say I was sort of advanced in my thinking in some areas, I was retarded in my abilities or understanding other areas. I really didn't understand girls or women. And sometimes I'd get a date, but I couldn't get 2 dates. What's wrong? I think I'm a nice guy, And so I started reading many books about women, and I asked my friends if they could give me some tips. So finally, when I was 26, I got my first girlfriend, and I was very happy. Skipping forward a bit, I did a lot of, I started getting into workshops and human potential workshops and exploring this, exploring that from about age 26, 27, and reading a lot of books I really love to read. And I thought I would live in New York City forever, but in 1979 I went on holiday to Arizona, and I was just blown away by how beautiful it was. It was a nice time of year. It was October, so the weather was nice. Although it gets very hot there in the summer. And so I went back to New York, and I thought it would take me 3 months to move, but I was actually moved in 2 weeks. I said goodbye to my girlfriend. I packed 14 years of furniture in a big truck and drove for 5 days across America to my new home in Arizona. And so I settled down there, and up until this time, I thought I would never get married. I said, what's the purpose of marriage for me? I don't think I don't want to have kids, and maybe a girlfriend's better than a wife. But for some reason, I changed my mind. So when I was 39 years old, I got married to a lady named Louise. And we had a happy marriage until 10 years later, we had a happy divorce. Then I married another lady named Yuko. And we had a happy marriage until 5 years later. She was from Japan, already moved to the U.S. And we had a happy marriage until 5 years later, we had a happy divorce. So I finally was able to learn about myself that I think I can make a good boyfriend, but I can't really, I'm not suited to be a good husband. And the reason for that is for whatever reason, I really don't care about family or building a family, although I can certainly support that in others who want to have that. But what's more important to me is romance and passion, and keeping that alive with a girlfriend. But I was lucky because my second wife introduced me to Japan. I totally love Japan. It's so fascinating to me. So I went on holiday there for 40 days in 1997, stayed with 18 different homestay families over 40 days. Then in 1998, I went back for 3 months, rented a house. I just and lived in Hiroshima and just totally loved it. And then 1999, I made a really big decision. Bye-bye, America. Hello, Japan. November 5th, 1999, I had shipped everything ahead of me, and I arrived in Tokyo. Thought I would live there a long time, but in July of 2000, I went on holiday to Shanghai, and I discovered, China and Shanghai is better for me than Tokyo. So I moved, after 1 year in Tokyo, I moved to Shanghai. Lived there 9 years, and during that time I wrote a 700-page book about courage. I need to backtrack a little bit. 1987, about 30 years ago, I changed my career from being a computer programmer to being a life coach, right? So out of my experience in being a life coach, I wrote this book about courage, like courage, the choice that makes the difference, your key to 1,000 doors. And but after 9 years in Shanghai, I went on holiday to Kunming, China. That's in southwest China. And it's just an amazing city. It's called the Spring City of China. Great weather all year round, and nice low prices, So bye-bye Shanghai, hello Kunming. I've been here 7 years now. I love it. Seems like I may live here forever. So, and I have a Chinese girlfriend that I dearly love for over 6 years now. That's a quick history of my life, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.